and it's going to be $10 cheaper. So I think it's a steal.
Yeah.
Great game. The next game I want to talk about is an Xbox Live Arcade download. And if you'll excuse me for 1 second, I'm going to get a prop. And we're back. When I was a kid,
that's awesome.
I was a game reviewer for the newspaper, and I couldn't find my actual review of The Secret of Monkey Island, but I found a column where I named the best games that I had ever played, and it was all the games that I gave a 10 to. This is my a photocopy of my column. At that time, it's a very young, embarrassing photo of me. But so I ranked Secret of Monkey Island on CD-ROM alongside Alone in the Dark, Star Control 2, Space Quest 5, King's Quest 6 as top PC adventure games. Top PC action games were Wolfenstein 3D, Wing Commander X-Wing. Anyway, so clearly I have a great affinity in my heart for The Secret of Monkey Island, which is an old LucasArts point-and-click adventure game. It's one of those games that is sort of in the pantheon of, if you've never played it, it's really worth playing. Which is great because it's being re-released on the Xbox Live Arcade with a completely new graphics skin and audio skin.
Re-released.
Yes, excuse me. This last week.
Yeah.
We all played it. The really cool thing, I think, is that it's got this new layer of graphics and audio and new voiceover work and new music compositions. But at any time while you're playing it, you can push the back button and switch back to the original graphics.
Yeah.
So it's like this magic time machine. I found myself switching back and forth all the time just to take that cool trip back in time, but also to see just the wonderful new art that they've put in and how they reimagined what was in that old, 256 color palette into this brilliant 1080p.
I loved how the Swordmaster was like this black chick with an afro in the old version, and then now she's like, oh yeah, that's like I can. Like, back then, I didn't know that was a black chick with an afro. It just looked like a muddled, like, darkness of things. And now it's like, oh no, I get what they're, she's like Caribbean.
Did you ever play this game as a kid?
Yeah, I did play this game as a kid. I played a lot of it, though I never got very far.
Right. As when we were kids, often the case, right?
So, yeah, I mean, I remember playing this game for hours. Space Quest was my favorite of this series, of all these point-and-click adventures. But Secret of Monkey Island, I played for hours, and I was like, when we were gonna play this, I was like, I'm gonna get farther than I ever did now. I can't wait to do that. And then I realized, when I got farther than that, I realized I was not far at all. I remember this thing that was like, I remember the prison, getting to the prison and being like, that was like really deep in the game. Like that, I'm like, that is like the first thing you do. I couldn't believe it. What's very helpful with this game is the hint feature,
which is completely a new addition for this special edition.
Right. So basically, you hit X at any time, and it tells you what to do. I don't know how when I finally did this to see what I had to do. There's no way my brain would have ever gone in the direction that the game needed. Not a freaking way. That being said, I'm so glad it did that because just experiencing the story is amazing.
It's the writing, right?
So Tim Schafer wrote on this game, who we brought up again and again with Brutal Legend and Psychonauts.
This is sort of how he got his start.
Yeah, one of the funniest games to this day. One of the funniest things I've ever. I didn't get. Did you get the troll has George Lucas inside? Amazing.
And the wonderful right at the beginning, the wonderful ad for Loom.
Yes, amazing, amazing. Which I remember buying that game and not being able to play.
I reviewed that game.
But I see it didn't make your list.
What I never got to experience then, which now is one of the most profound experiences I've had in a game, is defeating the sword. To defeat the sword master, you don't, because it's a point-and-click adventure. You never have an actiony moment. You don't actually fight with a sword. So the way they did it was you have to learn clever puns in order to defeat the sword master. So you're accumulating all these like retorts back and forth, and it's a fun way to do it. It's actually fun experiencing that and having to beat a pirate by having to know the what you say back to that retort or whatever. And then you fight the sword master, but it's not the same stuff. So you have to infer from her new insult what your comeback could be that was a comeback. So, and it's like this, I actually was like a young wannabe pirate who became badass. The game made me feel like that's always my favorite moments in these games. I felt like
your razor sharp wit had been
it was
honed.
Remarkable.
How was your razor sharp wit, Alex?
Dull and listless. No,
Yeah.
I did not. I did not.
It's too slow for you, this game?
No, well, here's the problem. I think you nailed it totally, which was when you're a kid and you're playing King's Quest, you think you are almost done with the game and you haven't even done the first thing that you need to do in the game. And at the time, I remember I did this with Myst, where I was able to get very, very far into it, and then there was like this one thing and I was stumped, and I was like, and I bought the game guide because I was like, I just need to know how to get through this one part. These games to me are 20 minutes of forward progress and 2 hours of not doing dick. And the thing that I really dislike about this game is it's not just you don't know what it is that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's you don't know what 7 steps ago you were supposed to do that has nothing to do with what you're supposed to do that will get you to where you need to be. So a great example is
I say poo on you.
It's true. Because the great example was like I met the pirates guy, all the hoo-ha. I was like, great, I know exactly what I need to do. I need to find a sword, and I need to get the sword guy. I need to do this, I need to do that. So then I go, and there's a sword, and I'm like, great. No way. A half an hour of how do I freaking get this sword from this guy?
That's the joy. That's the joy.
For people.
Yeah.
That is the joy for people. For me, it was, I met the pirates and then left to go try stuff instead of going through this random others. Literally, I was 2 hours because I chose to go left on a screen instead of right. And if you go left, you can go anywhere else in the game and nothing is doable. There's no progress. So that to me brought back this whole frustration that I had with these games, which was, I don't need breadcrumbs, but I need some linear connection.
Well, game design has definitely come a long way, and
100%.
it's sort of being used to how games are designed now. We aren't even thinking in those directions.
Yeah.
Of old.
But so,
and like I said, the game is unplayable without hint. I mean, there's just no.
Well, but even the hints, it was like get drugs.
There's no way you could.
And I'm like, get drugs.
No way.
There's nothing for me to. I didn't know that I had to get like a fish at some point for the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to me, I didn't have fun.
That's back then.
But the aesthetic joy and the sort of being back in that world was definitely nostalgic, and I was very excited to have that experience. Though I think overall, I didn't really enjoy playing the game.
Okay, that's fair. I love
It's on your list.
this. It's on, yeah, I mean, back in 1992 or whenever I wrote that, and this game came out in 1990, and it's such a wonderful labor of love that clearly they put into the remaking of this, because there's so many hours of graphic update and music update and voiceover stuff that...
The score is great.
Yeah.
The thing about this is they don't make games like this anymore, and maybe that's probably what you're talking about. People need that sort of 30 seconds of action repeated constantly, which is fine. I enjoy games like that too, but it makes me yearn for a time where I didn't just have to shoot something every 4 seconds. This game is a storybook that you're walking around and interacting with these people, and the joy of walking into that bar and going, I can talk to all these people and find out the wonderful writing that they've come up with and try things and things don't work. And I love that. It makes me excited for Heavy Rain, for example, because I think that's the closest we're going to get to a game like this.
What about Broken Sword? Or they make newer...
Yeah, they still make those point-and-click adventures. There hasn't been a new Broken Sword in a long time, I think. Actually, I think they released it on the DS. Okay, but it was a remake of, or it was a port. I highly recommend. If you've never experienced Monkey Island, there's a reason that this is a classic and is remembered fondly by everyone who ever played it back in the day.
Good news is there's like so many walkthroughs.
It's not about I think it's not about a progression. It's not about finishing it. It's about the journey.
But I would say I wouldn't have seen any of what look. I never saw any of these jokes. I mean, when you're underwater, you're tied to a thing underwater, and you need something to cut loose, and the guys walk ahead top of you like, hey man, I just killed someone with this rusty knife. I'm gonna try and throw it away. And you're like, yes, and he's like, maybe not. And you're like, no. Like, there's so many
wonderful.
joyous moments
Yeah,
that, and what I just said, the voice acting.
Yeah.
Before you had to read all this and do
Yeah.
those performances in your mind, and I was not as good an actor when I was younger.
In your
So,
brain?
in my
Yeah,
brain.
I gotcha.
And hearing the voice acting in this
Yeah.
game was amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. I want every.
Game to be like that.
Sierra needs to do the whole.
Well, this
Space
isn't
Quest.
Sierra game. This is the LucasArts.
I know, I'm
and LucasArts has released a crap ton of these on Steam already. For instance, Loom.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, and everybody wants Grim Fandango and Full Throttle, which were both great, wonderful games.